Hi everyone. Ooh, recording 171. Yes. So I've been talking about this guy on my channel because he's in my reality a lot right now. And there's this guy, Decode Your Reality. Well, that's his channel name. His name is Logan. And he uses like Chaldean astrology to like decode reality with a lot of things like periodic table and the golden ratio, and then what's the other one? Golden ratio and pi, to like decode reality and stuff like that. So when I did my name through his breakdown, it came out to 117. That's my maiden name, and then 137 with my married name. And the interesting thing is that I started doing like moon scripting. So like new moon scripting, like really positive things that you want to come into your reality on the new moon, things you want to script out, you don't really like on the full moon. And then even recently I've started kind of flipping the energy to prepare for the next moon. So on the new moon, I'm preparing for the full moon. So I'm actually scripting. Well, at this point, most of the things, it's not really about scripting it out. Oh, look, a Volvo. It's not really scripting it out as much as it's like transmuting it into something that is compatible for the most part. Like, it's really intense to script something out, but anyways, and then sometimes, so I started that like in 2018, possibly 2017. No, I think it was definitely, hold on, wait, let me think about this. No, I definitely think it was 2018. I started doing these, and then sometime after that, like 2019 probably, or late 2018, I just started signing my soul scripts like 771. And like my name, and then writing 771 underneath it. And so every time I see like 177, I see 771, any combination of those, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And then even my birthday is December 26, 1992, giving out all of my spiritual information. But when you break that down, it's 383, which is 3443, which is 77. And so when I saw that my maiden name was 117, which is 27, which is 9. Qua, right. Actually, Qua, that's right. I was like, oh, okay, so this is why I have been just writing 771 after all of my soul scripts. And I'm like, it must be my signature number or something like that, 771. And I just did it out of the blue one day, and some people, might get freaked out by that or whatever, but I've learned a lot in life, and in life, if you just wait a little bit, you just give it some time, it'll present itself, it'll work itself out. So now, 5 years later, 5 years later, now I know what the combination of the 1 and the 7 is about. Okay. Yeah, and it's really funny because, right, then we moved to Mesa in 2021. Well, not 2021. We moved to Phoenix, and, well, not even Phoenix. We moved to Arizona in 2021. And then we moved into this place earlier this year in Mesa, which, side note, I knew we were moving to Mesa before we even got to Arizona. I didn't even know what Mesa was. But the area that we live now is so interesting because there's this little pole in this parking lot. This is actually really interesting. I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. Hold on, because I do want to talk about the red heifer situation. Okay, a little bit more, and then I'm gonna get into what I was even trying to talk about today. But this is really interesting though. I have this idea to build this hotel out in Mesa, okay? And the very first dream that I had with this hotel was, not the very first dream. Let me go back and backtrack, because you have to be very specific about what you're talking about. I'm going to be very specific today in this moment. Not the very first dream that I've had about the hotel, but the very first dream I had where I actually saw the hotel in its building stages. And I saw this hotel while I was in New Orleans before I even knew that we were coming to Arizona. That's important to say. The very first thing that I saw was I was in this dream and I was laying in a bed and I knew that I had like transitioned to another reality. That's the best thing I could say. Like, I saw myself wake up in this bed, and then I saw a memory, which I don't always have, but I saw a memory of me being in a different room, and I had used some ivy vines. They were like ivy vines, and it almost looked like also the vines that grapes grow off of. Like, do grapes grow off of ivy vines? Like, that might be a really ridiculous question. Actually, let me just look it up because I don't have to. Oh, look, and it's 11:37 right now. 1:37. Oh, okay. I'm sorry for that little yell. Okay. Ivy and grapevines. Let me see. Because when I first saw them, I thought that they were ivy because they didn't actually have anything growing off of it. Okay. Oh, okay. So it is called grape ivy. Hold on, wait. Cissus trifoliata, or grape ivy, is a climbing vine with succulent leaves. Okay. Is ivy related to grapes? Whatever you choose to call it, calling it ivy is misleading. It belongs to the grape family. Oh, okay. These vines do not often grow in the wild unless their seeds are spread unintentionally by birds. Typically, humans cultivate this vine to cover stone and brick walls. Interesting. Okay. This plant is not native to Lowell or to the Northeast. It was brought to Massachusetts in 1852 from Japan. Oh my gosh, wait. Because I thought it said, hence the name Jeepers Creepers. Child, I was about to be like, what? Because I saw Jeepers Creepers, or the scene from, well, I thought it was from Jeepers Creepers. I don't know if it actually is, but it says Japanese Creepers. And I was like, Jeepers Creepers. Okay. Because these plants do not grow easily without human intervention and occupy space many other plants cannot live in. This invasive species is not seriously detrimental to the local ecology. Okay. People say that the term Ivy League, used to describe premier colleges in the Northeast, comes from Boston ivy, which was imported to cover campus buildings. Interesting. Yeah, and that's what it looked like. These ivy, leaves. They're very succulent, very juicy. And I felt like there were grapes, or some type of grape-like fruit or something like that growing off of it. And I think I just touched it. I don't think I even ate the fruit. I just touched it. And the next thing I know, I was in this bed, right? So anyways, I'm in this bed. I'm laying down. And I realized that, I am in my office bedroom. So it was like I had an office in this building that I didn't know what it was. I couldn't remember what it was just yet. But I was in this office room. And I had actually had, an office and then a bed in there to, sleep. When I wanted to just take a break or whatever. So anyways, so I woke up from this nap and I was very disoriented. And there's this person that was walking in. Oh, Kia. Interesting. There's this person that was walking in. And there was some type of drama that was starting. And I was like, child, I like theatrics, but I'm not a dramatic person. Okay. I don't like drama. And so anyways, it was this guy and he was coming to try to knock on the door to tell me some drama or whatever like that, and he was actually trying to cause some issues between me and my business partner. So as I was listening to him talk, I started to remember him and I was like, oh, this guy again. So anyways, so I step outside of my office and I see my main partner, who was an Asiatic woman. I don't know specifically, and this is East Asia, right? Japan, Korea, China, that's East Asia, right? Oh, Lord have mercy. I hope that that's correct. But anyways, an Asiatic woman, and we were clicked in, we were tight. This guy was relatively new. So her and I feel like she might have also been an earth sign too, because we just understood each other on a whole nother telepathic communication. Like, and we already were locked in. Like, no matter who tries to come into our partnership, it's always going to be them before it's going to be us, period. We worked very well business-wise together, very much friends together. Like, we were really, really locked in. So he was coming to, like, start some drama, and it was something that me and her had already talked about, and it was something that, like, he wouldn't even think that we would talk about because of, like, a quote-unquote business setting, right? But when I do business with people, which is why I have not done that much business, I don't like to do business with people that I don't know, that I can't, like, call you up and be like, hey, this is going on, let's talk about this. And we can have, like, a, you know, like a real interaction. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe in doing business with people that you don't like or you don't really know. It needs to be a family feel for me. So anyways, me and her are already locked in. We've already had a conversation about these things. And so we were even so understanding of just him being, just not, I guess, that mature yet, that we're like, you know what, we're not even going to, like, fire him, even though he's lying and he's, you know, obviously trying to cause some drama. But, like, we're just gonna just wait on it and see if it works itself out, right? Because some people, it takes some time when you know, people feel comfortable and they're like, okay, like, you're really trying to, like, you know, take care of us and, like, be cool with us and stuff. People have been so jaded just in life. I don't always do that, y'all. I don't. Some people, I'll be like, ooh, child, look, we have to catch each other in, like, 10, 15 years, something like that. Hopefully I'm still on the planet. But not in 10 to 15 years. I'm just saying, like, 10 to 15 years from whenever we have an interaction. But anyways, that's not the point. So we were stepping out, and me and her were telepathically talking to each other, you know, and that's, like, women already do that to a certain extent, especially Black women, you know, like, we can look at each other in our eyes and our facial expressions, and you can already almost hear what that person is saying. So we're looking at each other. So we let him keep talking and stuff like that. We're like, thank you for letting us know. And I think we even, like, pretended like we were about to get into it. And then when he left, we just, like, busted out laughing. And so, I'm like, girl, he is wilding. And so we were, like, talking about, okay, like, how long are we gonna let this go on for? Like, do we go out there and, like, pretend like we're still mad or whatever? Because we wanted to see how far he was gonna take it, I guess. So anyways, so we did that little thing, and then we ended up going into the front. So my office was, like, in the back of this building, right? And I still couldn't remember exactly the building. But when I got in there, I realized that it was an old Cracker Barrel. It was an old Cracker Barrel. Now, first of all, there could be a Cracker Barrel in New Orleans, possibly. I don't actually remember. But it is not, like, something that is just, like, everywhere in New Orleans, Cracker Barrel. Not even in New Orleans proper, and definitely I don't believe on the West Bank. We did have a Golden Corral, but it was, like, pretty far from New Orleans proper and where we lived. I mean, New Orleans type of far, you know. But my point is just, like, when I had this dream and I saw it was an old Cracker Barrel, I was like, Cracker Barrel. Now, I had been to Cracker Barrel because I went to California when I was little and we ate at a Cracker Barrel. And then they have Cracker Barrels some places in Georgia that I've been to before. But anyways, it was an old Cracker Barrel that we turned into, like, a bed and breakfast kind of style hotel. And so we have 4 business partners. It was me and my Asian friend. I don't remember her name right now. And then 2 other partners that we had introduced. So me and her were, like, the main partners, and there was 2 other people that we had introduced to the partnership. So it's kind of like a co-op hotel, I guess. I think that's the term, a co-op, when you have, I don't know, child. I don't know. Whatever. And so he was, like, working the front desk at the hotel. Now, we'll say that the hotel was, like, not doing that well at this moment as far as financially. It was almost like we had bought it and we didn't exactly know, like, what to expect. I don't think either one of us really had, like, a lot of hotel experience. So we're just, like, kind of trying it to see, but it definitely needed renovations and all different type of stuff. And anyways, I'm saying, oh, look, a Scion. Interesting. Very interesting. So anyways, It was the old Cracker Barrel. So anyways, fast forward to 2023, we moved to Mesa, and I was sitting in the parking lot. So I went to go find Starbucks in Mesa, and I was sitting in the parking lot, and I was sitting in front of a pole that had, literally, I kid you not, number 177, and it was in the Cracker Barrel parking lot. I kid you not. I'm like next to this Cracker Barrel all the time now. And I'm like, if this Cracker Barrel ever shuts down, and that's like, I mean, it would have to do it in like the next like 5 years. Like, and if this is the Cracker Barrel that I saw, right? And of course, like, the dreams are not always exactly what you think they are, because I did dream about a house in Mesa before we moved to Mesa, but the actual house that I saw was actually in Scottsdale, and it was like the transitionary house in order for us to get to Mesa. So in the dream, I thought it actually was in Mesa, and it wasn't. But when I saw it in Scottsdale, I immediately knew. And even when I got there, I still didn't know how we were going to get to Mesa. But I was like, okay, we must be moving to Mesa. But it was a transitionary period. So this Cracker Barrel that I'm sitting next to, that I've been sitting next to for like almost a year now, is definitely going to be transitionary to the hotel. That was a very long thing. I'm going to do timestamps though, I promise. Okay. So let me get to what we're supposed to be talking about today, because we're almost 17 minutes in. And 17 in the tarot is the star card, right? It's giving star. It's giving Aquarius energy. It's giving a lot of things. Okay. All right. So anyways, let me go ahead and get to this thing. I promise you I'm going to be doing timestamps. All right. So this is a continuation, even though I'm not going to make it like a formal podcast or whatever. This is a continuation of the red heifer dreams that I had. So the first red heifer dream that I had was back in 2020. Oh, look, I saw DDK and then 17 on the back of a car. I kid you not. Okay, so the first red heifer dream I had was December 2022, on the 30th, and then on the 1st, I had a series of dreams that were connected into the red heifer dream, so I wanted to talk about a lot. Okay, so I'm going to talk about these two dreams that I had. So one of them I had on the 1st, so like the 31st going into New Year's. And then the next one I had, I think the third, like January 3rd or 4th. I can't exactly remember. I would go into my notes, but I'm sitting in the car right now, and like sometimes I pull up the stuff for it and it starts acting a fool and doing the most, and I just don't want to do it with Google Drive on my phone right now. So anyways, I will post them for certain because the dates usually are connected. So the first time I consciously remember being consciously like exposed to the red heifer, I would say that, was actually October 26th, I think it was the 26th, 27th of October 2022 as well. So it was like 2 months before I had these dreams. Okay, so in the second dream connected to the red heifer, because the first dream is on the first podcast about the red heifer prophecy of September 2023. So the second dream I had in this series was actually pretty wild, actually. It was actually pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie. It was actually pretty wild. So I had this dream where, actually, you know what? I'm going to try to see if it's acting a fool, because I want to make sure that I say it correctly. Let me make sure, because I do want to say it correctly. Let me see. January 2023. Yep. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, girl. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, I wanted to make sure. Okay. So, okay, I wanted to double check. Okay. So, in this dream that I had on going into New Year's, I dreamed that I was in a cul-de-sac. Now, that was really significant because we were looking for places at this time. That's a whole other thing, but we're like getting out of the hotels. We were looking for places at this time. And a lot of the places we kept coming across were in cul-de-sacs, which I thought was very interesting. Okay, so in the dream, I was standing in a cul-de-sac, and there were all of these different neighborhoods. And so it was very wild. It was like I was standing in the middle of the cul-de-sac, like middle of the street of the cul-de-sac. And the reality literally just kept flipping. Like, you know, when kids used to have those little pictures and you would click the picture and then it would just like switch to the next camera thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like that. So it was like somebody kept clicking the picture and the whole reality would change. But the basis of it was the same. So it was still a cul-de-sac in a neighborhood, but the neighborhoods were different. The houses were different, but it was pretty much still the cul-de-sac. Like the cul-de-sac and the houses and like the basic structure did not change. And I was just standing in the middle of it. And I remember being like, is this reality now? Like, does reality just do this? And I was scared to move because literally the whole reality was moving around me. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I do not know what to do. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I was trying to keep my sense of direction. I mean, it was wild. It was the wildest thing ever. But like I say in a lot of my videos, when you're in the astrals, you have to just try to train yourself to just not be surprised by what you see. Because when you get surprised and you give off like a charge of emotion, you definitely can change it. Little changes are okay, but like if you give off fear, then the whole thing can go away and you don't get the message that you're supposed to get from it. So anyways, I'm like, this is wild. But I'm just going to just pretend like this is normal. I guess this is just a thing. And I just trust that at some point I'll be able to move my foot and walk around. So what I told myself in my mind was like, okay, this must be like a new way of interacting with reality. And so I'm going to have to figure out how to like ground myself, even though the whole reality is moving. So I'm like, there must be some level of stability here. And then, you know, I was thinking like, you know, when you first come across something, it's very stark and it's scary and stuff like that. But eventually you adapt. Humans are very, very adaptable. So I got to a point of like AI transit. That's very interesting. I got to a point to where like it had changed enough times where I was like, okay, let me just test out the water and see if I can start moving my foot. So child, I put my foot out and it looked like Doctor Strange when when Steven is like fighting with the Ancient One at the very beginning of the movie, and she's showing him like the maps of, you know, she's showing him the maps of I mean, this was like my favorite part in this movie, you know, the chakra map and then the, what do you call it, with the needles, acupuncture map and stuff like that. And he's like, oh my gosh, I spent my last dollar coming to Carmartage and you are showing me maps of chakras. And so she was like, wow, you know, you spent all of your life wishing for the possibility of reality to expand. And here at the idea that life can expand, now you don't want to hear it. And so he's like arguing with her. That's not exactly what she said, but pretty much. And so he's like, she was like, I can see you. And he's like, you think you can see me? I can change everything. And anyway, she like does this whole energy technique and then pushes his body, like his astral form, out of his body. And he, like, you see all these different versions of him, right? That's exactly what my foot looked like. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm freaking out, but I'm freaking out like in minuscule seconds. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like my foot, literally, I started walking and my foot was going through dimensional realities and I could see it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I brought my foot back and I had to actually think my foot back. So I couldn't just like move my foot and put it back to me. I had to like grab my whole foot in all these realities with my mind and put it back on the ground. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to have to expand, because this is like on a whole nother level of wild, because I ain't never had to think this hard to get my foot right here. Like just right here. Like right here. Like it was just right here. Do you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, cool. Ciao. The next thing I know, a door just randomly appeared. Not even a door frame, because I want to be more specific. Not even a whole door. A door frame just up here. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to walk through it. So then I put my foot out again, and this time I expected my foot to be expanding, which is what it did. And then the door frame also started expanding. So now it was like I was walking through many different door frames and mini realities. So I got the hang of it. I started putting one foot in front of the other and stuff like that. It was wild, child. It was a wild experience. It still boggles my mind, but we went through it. We got through it. And so what ended up happening is that I guess we walked through enough doors where we ended up, and I'm saying we, and I'll explain that in a second, where we ended up right where we were. So we walked through all of these door frames to end up back in the original cul-de-sac. However, this one was different because now I had, like, I kid you not, like 11 or 12 people with me. So within me walking through all of these doors, I also had an aspect of me that was obviously interacting with all these different realities and pulling people into the original cul-de-sac. And that's what was going on. So my conscious mind did not see those interactions, but there was like 11 or 12 people with me. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I started talking to them and I started understanding that they were dead in the reality that I was in. So like the cul-de-sac that I saw at the end of walking through these frames was the same cul-de-sac, but it was in a parallel reality. Okay. It was in a parallel reality. So in the reality that they were all in, they were all dead in their original realities, we'll say. And so I was talking to them, and that's when I started smelling the ashes of the red heifer. And I distinctly, like, I could taste it. It was disgusting. I could taste it. I could smell it in my nose, everything. And I knew that that is what had opened up these dimensional realities. So the conclusion that I came to was that I was supposed to be bringing them back through these doors, but this time I was bringing them back to their original timeline. So they were about to come back to life. Atar. What is Atar? Hold on. It's 12 o'clock on the dot. Let me see. What is Atar? I'm about to ask Bard. Bard is a cool little situation. Atatar. Was it Atatar? Hold on. Especially when I see like weird things on license plates, like weird words and stuff like that, I like to look them up. Oh, Avatar. That's what they're like, you must mean Avatar. Like, no, it's not what I meant. What is Atar, though? Attar. I mean, Avatar could be significant, but Atar. Okay. It's also known as Itar or Itra. It's a natural perfume or essential oil derived from botanical or other natural sources. Traditionally produced in the Middle East and South Asia, and is widely used in perfumery, cosmetics, and traditional medicine. Typically extracted via hydrodistillation or steam distillation. Typically made from flowers, but it can also be made from herbs, spices, and even wood. Okay, interesting. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this ashes that was smelling up the reality. So anyways, oh look, 157, interesting. So so I was bringing them back to their original timelines. So in their original timelines, they would literally be coming back to life. And it was primarily for two reasons. So the first reason was that they were specifically chosen, and I'm not sure what the criteria were as to why they were chosen for this, but they were specifically chosen to go back to their original timelines for 2 weeks. So this was not a permanent thing. For 2 weeks, they would be able to go back to their old timeline, tell people that they were living, and then to basically pretty much explain the metaphysics of the afterlife, which I'll get to that in a second, but explain the metaphysics of the afterlife to their family, to let them know that they weren't dead, and then I'll get into that in a second. And then the second reason was to make amends with family. I would say that that's probably the primary reason. Like, the metaphysics of the afterlife was obviously clearly important, but the first one was definitely to make amends with family. Okay. So the metaphysics of this is that they had 2 weeks to come back, so they would be able to call their family, call their friends, get everybody to come in town. That's hopefully if they didn't think that you were a demon, child. Because people believe that anything that's not God and an angel is a demon, which they don't even... Anyways, I'm not even getting into that. So hopefully you don't have a family that has these belief systems, because you're going to have to spend most of the time, probably like a week, just if they want to talk to you, like trying to let them know that you're not a demon, that you actually are being brought back. I mean, I guess you could just try to be like, won't he do it? And maybe some people will get it. I don't know. But anyways, so they call their family back and they start making amends, okay? So whatever things were left unsaid, whatever you didn't get to work out, whatever needed to really seriously be talked about. I mean, obviously in 2 weeks, you're not going to get everything worked out clearly, but for them to know that there is an afterlife, which we can talk about that in a second. There is an afterlife, and what doesn't get worked out, you will eventually have to work it out. So you will reincarnate, kind of, sort of, depending, right? Because there's a different process of reincarnation, which is not exactly what these people are experiencing, which is like a whole nother topic to talk about. And then there's parallel realities, which is when you're waiting on a soul group of people. So I'm gonna get to that in a second, because that's a whole nother topic. But so what actually happened to these people when they die is that they were waiting on what we call a soul group, a group of people that you incarnate with, and what was happening for them. So I won't say that every person experiences this, because it is a very, very large universe. There are a lot of possibilities. But for this particular group of people that were chosen to come back to family, they actually, when they died, they got pushed to a parallel life, okay, where they made a different decision on a major life decision. So the example that I give is like, there's one guy who I was mainly talking to, and this was like, a white guy, looked like he died at like, 55 or something like that from some type of heart disease or something like that. And I feel like his family was like out in Wisconsin. Okay. And so he got pushed when he died in the main reality, quote unquote, the main reality. He got pushed to a timeline where, okay, wait. So in the main reality, it's like he had a wife and they had like 2 kids, and they had a major decision because of work and finance and stuff like that to only have 2 kids. So when he died, he got pushed to a reality where he actually chose to marry a different woman. Now, that gets real tricky when we talk about soul groups and stuff like that. That gets really tricky, okay? Because he could have just shifted to a timeline where him and the wife that he had, they had more money, so they decided to have more kids. But that's not where his brain shifted him to. His consciousness shifted himself to. He shifted to a timeline where he married someone different who didn't want to have kids at all. So when everybody dies, let's say in this soul group and they're all together, it'll be less tricky because he has a wife but doesn't have more kids. But if you have a wife and more kids, or you chose to, start a timeline with a woman who, let's say was super, super wealthy and y'all had like 7 kids, it would be much more complicated in that soul group. Do you understand what I'm saying? But that's what his consciousness decided to shift him to. And I'm saying that because it's the process of what they shifted to when they died was almost immediate. And so it's obviously something that was kind of probably counter going on while they were alive, because it naturally shifted them to this reality immediately when they died. So it wasn't like he got to choose the different options. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so it was very interesting. Then they had some other people, and that pretty much was the case with them too. So it immediately put you in a parallel life. Now, the interesting thing is that when they died in this mainframe reality and they went to a parallel life, they had deja vu moments where their memories from life were triggered. Look, there's this card and it says Loa, L-O-A, which is like Loa, the voodoo deities, but also L-O-A, law of attraction, the laws of the universe. So anyways, I'm trying to tell you, child, okay? So, they would have deja vu moments of their mainframe reality and their lives and that. Oh my gosh, I'm thinking so much about Loki right now. This is actually wild. High key though. What? Okay. I'm gonna see if is there a deity named High Key? I'm seeing almost like hiking. Oh, like hiking. Oh my gosh, like hiking. Okay. Let me see if there's a Heike, though, because that popped up in my head. If there is, I'm going to freak out. Let's see what Bard has to say. Bard, is there a deity named Heike? Maybe a creature or something like that. Let me see. I have to know this, you guys. Wait, hold on. Tell me about the deity Heike. If it doesn't exist, Bard will say that, or at least what it knows about. Ah! What? It says Heike is a Hawaiian god of strength, sorcery, and transformation. He is also associated with the year and with the harvest. Heike is said to have been born from the union of the sky god Waikia. Y'all, I just saw Kia on the back of a car. Not like the Kias, K-I-A, but K-E-A. And it says Waikia. And the earth goddess Papa. I did not even know that they had an earth goddess named Papa. He is one of the most powerful of the Hawaiian gods, and he is often depicted as a large, muscular man with a fearsome appearance. He is said to have many powers, including the ability to change his shape, to travel through the air, and to control the weather. He is also said to have the power to bestow strength and magical ability on his followers. Heike is a complex and mysterious figure, and he is often feared and respected by the Hawaiian people. Breadfruit? What? I didn't know they had breadfruit out in Hawaii. Heike and the breadfruit tree. One story tells how Heike brought the breadfruit tree to Hawaii. Interesting. He was in Tahiti when he saw the breadfruit tree, and he knew that it would be a valuable food source for the Hawaiian people. Oh, that sounds like Quetzalcoatl taking the cocoa tree and planting it in Guatemala. Was it Guatemala or was it just Mesoamerica in general? I'm not sure. He took a cutting of the tree and brought it to Hawaii, where it quickly thrived. Okay, also over that and canoe races. What? Wow. That is just oh, it's pronounced hiki. To be able to accomplish a goal. Okay. Yeah, and it says it's usually followed by a word expressing time or place. Haikina. Okay. Interesting. Meaning able. Haikino, which is the Hawaiian phrase for can do. Okay. 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 Yeah, so when I get some time, and then I will, post about it when I get some time, because sometimes Bard doesn't always like exactly get the stories correct, so I'm gonna go back and research it, and then I'll probably put like a something in the description box that connects to it, because that's wild, because I saw his name Hiki and I knew it was a male energy. So anyways so I forgot what I was even talking about, but they would have, thank you, they would have deja vu of their past life during the life that they were living in the parallel reality. And it's like they wouldn't really know where the memories came from, but they would feel like a really, really strong sense of deja vu. And most of the time, the deja vu was matching up with, like, at that moment, they were doing something that they would do and be acknowledged for in their previous parallel life. So, like, for example, like with this guy, right? So he was like standing in the kitchen. So I saw him standing in the kitchen. He was cooking dinner for his wife, and they didn't have any kids. And at that same moment in his previous timeline, his wife in that timeline was cooking in the kitchen, and she was missing his cooking, because that would have been a time where he would be cooking for her. So you see, it was like the deja vu is connected to the like the back of this card literally says Maya. I kid you not, it literally says Maya, the illusion. Interesting. Literally connected to someone, I guess you could say someone missing you, but sometimes it wasn't just connected to missing. Like, it might be like your kids thinking about you, and and it's a happy memory. And like at that moment, you're like kicking a soccer ball around, but it's not with those original people. So you would have a deja vu of feeling like, oh, I've done this before, which now I'm thinking about our reality. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are we all just living in parallel? Are we all off of the main timeline? Are we like the branches that they're pruning in Loki? Like, are we what do they call them? Not deterrents, but the not detriments. What do they call them? Oh my gosh, what do they call these people in Loki? Oh my gosh, divergence. Yeah, divergence. I think that's what they call them. Are we the divergence? Oh, Snappington. But anyways, I'm not gonna get too deep into that, child, because that's a whole another situation. But anyways, that was the first dream that I had, and I smelled the ashes of the red heifer. So I knew that they had, killed this red heifer, and her ashes were filling up not just the atmosphere, but like the whole of consciousness. It's 12:21 when I'm saying that. That's winter solstice. Very interesting. So I have a really big manifestation coming for winter solstice. I mentioned that on another video. And again, I'm going to say it. I will mention what it is when it happens. Okay. So then that led into the third dream, which is funny because I also mentioned like a fourth dream that my husband ended up having. But that led into... Wait, this was so funny, okay? This is so funny. So this led into the third dream, okay? It's really funny because I'm really like this in real life. Like, I kid you not, in real life. Not all the time, but sometimes I get to a point and I'm like this for real. So in this third dream, which was like 2 days later, right? And I think I probably mentioned before that I usually do not dream about the same things directly, like consistently in a row. So I know that by the time I'm dreaming about something like the same thing in like a week worth of time, or, you know, I've had a few dreams like with Kali where I've had them like successively each night. I know that it's something that they really want me to pay attention to, and it's something that's happening dimensionally. So this dream, I'm pretty sure that this one happened on the 3rd. Oh, it's 12:17. So on I've mentioned this before too, on my car clock, it's a different time than my phone. So my car is a little bit ahead. Okay, let me see. Okay. Yeah. Big text. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to that later. And I have to look up the word Hassan too. Ooh, number is 18 at 133. Okay, I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go back to that child. Oh, and I forgot about the community of Kadesh. Okay. Let me get to where I'm going. 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 Okay. Oh, okay. So Ray's dream was actually the next night, and then I ended up having it. Then I had an astral projection experience. Oh, with Chris Brown. Okay, that's been coming around too. So then when did I have the dream? When did I have the dream? Lucia. Okay. Okay. I'm still going through my notes just from that day. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So he ended up having his dream on the 2nd while I was having a dream about Chris Brown. And then, and then I have my dream on the 3rd. Okay. So this whole time period really was wild. Like the beginning of 2023 was like on some whole other stuff, to be honest. And we also had some major changes going on in our life as far as like finally moving out of the hotel. Like something was definitely in our favor. I'll probably talk about that later, but I ended up having this on the 3rd. So I'll talk about the Chris Brown situation probably a little bit later. Okay, I'm trying to go back up. So, okay, so on the 2nd, Ray had a dream where he was seeing this energy. Okay, so this energy had showed up to him, and it was basically showing him all of the people that he had like under his control in reality, like over reality, like on Earth. And so it's kind of like, look at all these people that I have under my control. And so I think Ray said that the guy was like turning people into snakes or something. Child, was something like that. Hold on, let me go back. I gotta go back up. I wrote so many notes because notes are important. Notes are really important. Okay. I mean, you could definitely make it without notes, but okay. Yeah. He said the spirit was going around possessing a lot of people, and people were willingly being possessed. And so when he wanted to possess Ray, he wanted to possess him in the form of a snake. So this guy, and this is what he showed me in the dream on the 3rd too. So he went from Ray to me, which is interesting. So this guy, and I'm saying a guy, but he wasn't like a human male. Even though he did at one point take the form of a human male, this was like a male energy that was showing that he had mental control over a lot of people on Earth. And so he said that this energy was like going around, and like he would send out like a mental call, like in the subconscious mind or something like that, and then people would get this call and they would immediately do what he wanted. So he gave like a like a, you know, some type of mental calling towards people. And since they were following his rules, following his religion, following his practices and stuff like that, then it was easier for him to get them to do whatever he wanted. And so then I guess he was kind of coming to Ray like, and if you let me possess you, because we were not under this mind control system. Now, impacted by it, yes, almost everybody on the planet was impacted by it. But there was like, I'd say like maybe like a good 15% of the population, I would say, that were not directly under this energy's spell, we'll say hypnosis, hypnotic influence or whatever. It was about 15% of people, I would say. And so he came to Ray and he shapeshifted into a snake. And he was like, you know, and let me take over you and we can rule this world together, you know, kind of like evil villain kind of thing. And so anyways, Ray and I were discussing it, and we came to the conclusion that this person probably wasn't actually evil. They were just like really, really misdirected about how to get love from people. And so they were like just trying to mind control everyone to like, you know, keep them around, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. And so I was like, oh, that's very interesting. And then I ended up having this dream about Chris Brown and Piccadilly's child. I don't know. It was about Chris Brown and Piccadilly's. And during that, so it's been coming around because like the last week or so, I've been really listening to his song Temperature. Temperature keeps rising like Poseidon when you ride my wave tonight. That's the part that I really remember, child, because I'm like, oh, who did it? He talking to, you know, when people start mentioning stuff like that, I'm like, what type of experience did they have with this energy? I mean, he could have just like been in, you know, singing the song, and Poseidon could have just popped up in his mind. But I mean, but then also he had like the whole Indigo album and stuff like that. He's been having like the angel number stuff and the psychic kind of stuff going on. So I'm like, what type of experience did he have with Poseidon? Because I'm trying to hear what that conversation was. Now, at the time when Chris Brown popped up in my dream, I was really like, this is random. Like, super random. Like, oh my gosh, why is this car so beat up? You should not be driving this car. Oh my gosh, this person just drive by me and like their car is like barely... Okay, like their car is baby. And then there's like this military charger. I've been seeing chargers so much. There's military, like they literally have military stuff all over their charger, and it says baby on the back. Okay, anyways, child. So anyways, that was his dream. And then on the 3rd, this energy came to me. This energy came to me, okay? This energy came to me, okay? Child, this man, this little energy here, okay? This little energy here. Okay, let me scroll down to my notes because I want to make sure that I say this correctly. Okay. Child, okay. Yes, the Jet Pyramid. Yes. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. So I ended up waking up in the middle of the night and I was hysterically laughing. And I woke up because Ray was like shaking me and he was like, what is going on? Wait. He was like, what is going on? What in the world are you dreaming about? Because I was like hysterically laughing. Like, I'm like picturing like, you know, the hyenas or whatever from the hyenas, like how they laugh. Like I was like hysterically laughing, but it was like, I guess a little diabolical looking. And he was like, what in the world are you dreaming about right now? because he was like, your laugh is kind of scaring me. And I hardly ever, like talk in my sleep. I mean, that I know of. Hardly talk in my sleep, or, like he just wakes up to me while I'm in the middle of an interaction in the dream world. And that's why I know that like this energy was like actually around and communicating with us. And it was pretty wild, actually. Child. So I woke up in a dream, child. Okay. In a dream world, orienting myself, trying to figure out what's going on, and I am hovering in the sky. Okay. So I'm like, okay. Now this is not the dark cosmos. This is not the light cosmos. This is not the void. This is like the earth plane. And I'm seeing like the astral form of the earth plane. Okay. And so it kind of looked like if you saw, those old globes that people had, like Wishbone, the globes, with the map around the globe of the whole world. It was like that, but if someone took the paper off and spread it out flat, okay? So it was representing me being able to see all the parts of the earth. Oh, look, ova is on the back of a car, like ovaries. To be able to see all of the earth on one dimensional plane. And so I was like, okay, this is interesting. But you could still see like the sphere of the earth as well. So it was actually kind of trippy because it looked like the earth plane was flat, but there's like a sphere around it that was like an aura orb or something. It's kind of hard to describe, but we were definitely in some type of enclosure of some kind. Okay, so this is not the dome, but maybe if you are looking outside of it, it would appear like a dome, I guess. But that's not the dome in the cosmos. That's a separate situation. So, but this one looked like they purposely wanted me to see the entire earth on one dimensional layout or spread. And so it was this energy that was like, the same energy. It was the same vibe that I got from Ray's dream. This energy came to me. And so he was showing me that he had, control over, like I said, like 80% of people. And then he actually showed me an example of this woman who, I'm not sure what religion this is, but she was wearing like a purple kind of like pilgrim kind of dress. It could have been like a steel gray kind of blue dress, but it was also appearing as like black at certain times. And she was sitting with like, I want to say a Quaker. I don't know why. Did I write that down? Did I write down Quaker? I don't know if I specifically wrote down a Quaker, but that's definitely what it felt like, a Quaker. That's what I would say. It felt like a Quaker woman. So anyways, he sent out like this mental energy, and I literally saw it like almost like not exactly like thunder from the sky, but that's kind of how the energy wave looked. It looked like an orb of thunder, and it like sent directly to her. And he said something that like was out of context of the Bible. So he was using the Bible. So in some type of way, this is the God of the Bible, or he's using the Bible or something like that. He is directly connected into the Bible, and everyone who is connected to the Bible in any type of way, Abrahamic religion, whatever, it doesn't matter if you believe in Jesus or whatever, it's still under this thing. So 80% of the planet in some type of way was under this energy, regardless of the religious system they believed in or whatever. And then if you have ancestors that are part of it, which I'm gonna get to in a second, they are also under this. So not even just the physical people, but he also had a lot of people's ancestors on lock. So I'm gonna get to that a little bit later in the dream. So he sent out this wave to this woman, and it was obviously something that like was out of context in the Bible. And I think it was like a call to arms or something like that. Oh, look, Nuwa. Interesting. And no bull. I kid you not. This car literally says no bull. And I just saw a Ram. I just saw a Ram truck. It was like a Ram, and then it was like, yeah, like the Ram truck is going over there to park. You better get out of here. It said Noble, a Ram. Okay. So anyways, he sent out this call to this woman, and she immediately, like, she thought about it for a second, was like, who is this talking to me? And then she was like, oh, it must be God. And so she just followed it, even though it didn't make any sense. Now, even though it kind of was like a call to arms about something, it wasn't like an actual fight or something. It was like, you know, you need to go out there and proselytize to even more people. But she was like in the middle of dinner with her family. So it was like really inconvenient and very rude for him to ask her to do this, like in this moment. But he was like showing off to be like, haha, look what I can, you know, make anybody do on the planet. And then it was kind of like a little weird thing, like, there's things that I can make you do too. And I was like, okay, I guess so. So anyways, we're talking, and he's showing me like all these tricks and stuff, and you know, whatever. And so then he starts talking to me about the red heifer. And I was irritated, not specifically at him, but just at the situation in general, right? And I literally go, I'm like, not the red heifer again with the red heifer. And I'm like, what do you want me to do about the red heifer? And I was saying it like in an irritated way. I wasn't talking like directly about him, like, why are you bringing this up to me? I was really saying it like in a way of like, I keep seeing this red heifer, and obviously it's really impacting society and everything, but I really don't know like what to do with information. But I was irritated, and so it gave it that feeling of like me being like, stop talking to me about this red heifer. So childish, okay? Oh my gosh, so childish. I'm telling you, so immediately he was like, oh, you don't want to hear about the red heifer again? And he sent me into a reality. I kid you not, you guys. I can't even lie to you. I kid you not. He sent me into a reality that was not my original reality, but it was still real. And I was literally in a cramped up house with Ray and all of the kids. And the moment that he put me back in was where the kids were hollering and screaming. Ray was like cooking dinner, and he was frustrated because the kids were hollering and screaming. We're all cramped up and everything like that. And like he literally inserted me back into chaos because I did not want to hear about his plan with the red heifer. And so that's like when I woke up, why I was still interacting with that reality. And that's why I was like hysterically laughing, because I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is so childish. He is so childish. I was like, and how does he have this much ability to put me in this reality? Like, he inserted me perfectly in the middle of chaos. Like, I literally caught consciousness, and like the baby was pulling on my leg. This child was screaming. They had cake batter for some reason. Like, not batter, but like the cake mix was on the ground, and some of the kids were covered in it. Like, the house was a mess. It smelled bad. Like, it was just like chaotic, like a mother's worst nightmare. And so I was laughing because I was like, this guy is so childish. He's so childish. And I was laughing because he didn't want to pull me out of it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there are some people who are like really a part of it. And then it didn't mean that since you were a part of it that you couldn't be impacted. So he couldn't force my will, but he could put me into situations that were very, very stressful, because he was like ruling over the reality. And so I was like, oh my gosh, is this what we have been living in the whole time? The world of a child? And he's not literally a child. He's like, in some type of way, a grown man, but he's got the mentality of a child though. And so I was laughing like that because I was like, I cannot believe he did that. And I'm like, all I said was like one thing. I'm like, this guy is sensitive. Like, he is so sensitive. But I get it. But I was just like, wow, that's actually really ridiculous. And then we were in the house, but I'm not sure that she owned it. And the kids and I. Oh, yeah. And we kept being compared to ships. Like, we were talking about each other as ships. Like, how someone compares themselves to birds or cats. We were comparing ourselves to ships. And there was something about a double cup. And it looked like two pieces of some type of wood stacked on each other like a leg of a cow. And I was calling myself the ship of Pishu. Really? The ship of Pishu. The one who holds the sacred waters. What is the ship of Pishu? Now, I know that Pishu is connected to cats. I do know that Pishu is connected to cats, but let me see what the ship of Pishu is, y'all. Let me see if there's something about that. Let me see what they say the meaning of Pishu is. I mean, like, I know, like, the base word of Pishu. Look, that says jock on it. Like a jock. I'm thinking about young jock. That's funny. Pishu. Let's see what they say it is. Because it's, like, spelled a specific type of way. Okay, so in Chinese, it means to wear a sash. It can also refer to the sash itself. The sash is a traditional Chinese garment that is worn around the waist or shoulder. It is often made of silk and is decorated with embroidery or design. And then in Japanese, it means to wear a scabbard. Ooh, what is that? It can also refer to the scabbard. I guess that's a sword. The scabbard is a sheath that is used to hold a sword. It is often made of leather or wood and is decorated with metal fittings. In the context of Chinese medicine, dried root of the peony plant. You better get out of here. Wow. Child. What? Okay. Okay. Now I understand why I was talking about the Ivy dream. Okay. Now I understand why I was talking about the Ivy dream. So let me go back to the Ivy dream for a second. Because I very frequently have dreams of, like, being in, relatively frequently, a lot of visualizations of myself, like a part of some kind of garden area, and picking off these fruits that look like grapes. And now I'm putting it together because I didn't even think about that at first when I was talking about the ivy with the grape on it and how it transports you to different dimensions. Because during that time, I wasn't the only. I also had a friend who had a dream very similar where she saw an ivy plant and there was some type of transformation that she had. And then even recently, she was talking about these fruits. Okay, so sometimes I have dreams about what we call, like, the women that protect the golden apples. Okay, so the golden apples are like the fruit of immortality in ancient Greece. So I'm assuming that it's like similar to the Garden of Eden and like the tree of knowledge, I'm guessing. And so I was actually looking one day, and when they handed me this fruit, because sometimes they hand you the fruit even though you're protecting it. Sometimes people hand you the fruit as some type of gift. And so there's something very powerful about handing the gift back to who protects it. Like, and I'm not exactly sure what that means right now, but I have seen that where they hand it back to me, and there's something really powerful about that. So, I saw this being one time, and he actually handed me, instead of this fruit that I usually see, that's like golden, but it looks kind of like grapes. It's not exactly grapes, but it looks kind of like grapes. And instead of handing me that back, he handed me something, a pink flower. And when he handed me the pink flower, one of my other guides was like, oh, this is pink peony. And then I looked it up, and there are certain theories that said that they believe that the golden apples were actually pink peony. That sometimes the Greeks would say golden, not necessarily in color, but that it was, you know how we use golden, like, oh, that's golden, like it's very, very valuable. But they could also use it to describe the color pink and other things that were valuable. And so that's wild that I said that I was the ship of Pishu, and it's connecting Pishu to peonies, because that's actually very interesting. That's actually very interesting. And so anyways, I don't even know if we finished talking about the red heifer or whatever, because he was really upset that I had said this one little thing, okay? So Pishu is the Chinese word for the peony plant, while peonies is the English word for the same plant. Therefore, the phrase Pishu peony simply means peonies. Peonies are beautiful and popular. Yeah, let me see Chinese mythology around peonies. I don't know, peonies and ships. Let's see. Because you never know. Sometimes beauty and wealth. In the story of the 8 immortals while crossing the sea, the peony flower plays a crucial role. The 8 immortals embark on a journey to the Peach Blossom Island, encounter a vast of treacherous sea, and they struggle to navigate the turbulent waters. The goddess Sangyu Uja, known for her connection to peonies, transforms her flower into a magical boat, enabling the immortals to safely reach their destination. You better get up out of here, child. I have never heard this before. The peony's transformation into a ship symbolize its ability to transcend boundaries and connect the mortal realm with the immortal realm. I'm getting out of here, y'all. I love you so much. Goodbye.